Hello and welcome to Rampant Pyanodon Season 4, Episode 12. I believe this is the final episode. I think I'm trying to get to Intermetallics this episode. So the last episode I made Vitroloi, and here you can see that it's not actually moving, but that's because our excess belts are all full. We have ash, mainly just ash, rocks, iron oxide, it's all jammed up, and this is because our base is having trouble processing all the ash I'm producing. About 5 hours ago, I passed the limit of how much ash I was consuming or turning back into materials versus the amount of ash I was producing. So I'm consuming only about 7.5k ash per second, but I'm producing around 9k, or at least I have been for the past hour. So I'm at 1.5k ash extra, and it's all built up, and what it's done is it's caused the base to just kind of grind to a halt while we continue to churn away at the ash. So this episode, before we get to Intermetallics and the iron nexlet something, I'm gonna have to fix this because we never actually got any Vitroloi. So let's go ahead and design something to eat up all this ash in our base. Okay, this build is one that I'm actually quite proud of because of how compact it ended up turning out, and it looks very aesthetically pleasing as well. So it consumes 120 ash per second. That's a full belt of stacked ash, which is sorely needed in several parts of our base. So 120 go in, 120 ash goes in, stacked ash, it gets unstacked, it gets turned into soot, and that soot from 120 ash turns into, or it gets processed into 2 solid separators, which process the soot into the other ores we see. I add in 2 fish turbines and also a warehouse just to collect some of the ash as it comes in. And now we have a beautiful, proper ash sorting, we have an ash to ore, it's ash to ore, and it's very nice and compact. And I think I'm going to paste it in a couple different places in my base. Alright, so I've gone ahead and identified 2 places that I think would be very good. The first one is over here on the right side of the map by this power supply. It is just full of ash, completely full to the brim of ash. The second place is, surprise, surprise, next to another power station right here in the middle. It is also just full of ash. So let's go ahead and this one right here and one right here, and then we should be more free of ash. Alright, so let's just pop down 2 more, and then suffer a couple hours of existential crisis while my power destroys itself, and then come out the other side pretty alright. Okay, so I let my base idle for about 6 hours to let the power issues settle, and they kind of have, but I'm not very confident in it. So I've decided as a quick fix, I'm just gonna slap this raw coal to other coal products into a boiler or power area thing, and let that be done. And hopefully that's enough power, and we can finally move on to new content to finish off Intermetallics. Okay, so let's go ahead and check off the ash because it's kind of done. I'm not very happy with it, but we're moving on. Next up is nexlet before we move into the nexlet iron something alloy. But nexlet. So nexlet comes from 3 different sources. I can either get it from the ground, or I can get it from a nexlet reserve, or I can get it from tar. Unfortunately, nexlet from the ground and the nexlet reserve are not on my continent, so I'm going to move to the method of tar. So currently, I found a method, and it takes tar in a quenching tower, and you take that clean nexlet and you put it into an advanced foundry to finally get your nexlet plate. The ratios here are insane, and I really was going to overbuild until I remembered how well I did with the antimony oxide, nickel plate, and Vitroloi build, which I thought I underbuilt, but I posted on my Discord and people said, Vic, you're still overbuilding. And they're right. So I'm going to take that to heart and really build a lot smaller. So really my main blocker is tar. So if I wanted 5 nextlet per second, I would need 7.5k tar per second. Currently, my base is only producing about 550 tar per second, and even if I built this, all the tar wouldn't go towards nextlet. So, conservatively, I built a build for 1000 tar per second. So, the 1000 tar per second only produces 0.6 nextlet plates per second, which is way smaller than I would like. But again, in the spirit of moving things along, it is what I have for now. So it takes a total of 4 quenching towers, 2 evaporators, 2 washers, and 2.2 advanced foundries. Unfortunately, there's also a billion byproducts, a ton of fluid byproducts, as well as solid byproducts, including soot. And when you have soot, that means you have the entire iron oxide. Iron ore, copper ore, aluminum, coal dust, all that. You get like 10 different byproducts with it. So I kind of had to slap it all together. And I've used max rate calculator here to really make sure that all my outputs get stacked. The only one that I don't have that's useful is tailings dust. I'm going to shove tailings dust into a warehouse, and then once that warehouse gets full, I will burn it. And I will burn it using the coal dust I get from the solid separator. And I've done some testing on it. It hasn't been forever. I didn't test it for a very long time, but I used max rate calculator, and it seems like I produce enough coal dust to infinitely burn all the tailings dust I produce. So this should be a closed system which won't deadlock. Also, it's going to be a very slow system, so if it ever did deadlock, that wouldn't be for hundreds of hours in the future. And hopefully by then I would have rebuilt this. But that was a long explanation, and this is extremely overcomplicated build for such a small amount of nextlet. But it is our nextlet, and we know we're even one step closer. So let's admire it, and then go ahead and drop it into our world. It's a pretty tiny build, so we can go ahead and just squeeze it in right over here with just it into place. And then it's not really running because our base is not producing tar, or the tar that we are producing is having a really hard time getting all the way down here. But either way, let's go ahead and just move on to the iron nextlet antimony alloy. So we are building the iron nextlet antimony special alloy. We start with smelters. We actually reuse the design from duralumin. I kind of just copy paste it and make it wider for some reason. It's a little weird, but it works. Iron nextlet antimony special alloy, it takes 10 smelters to make 1 per second. And since we're only going to be making about 0.6 of the nextlet per second, I think we built 8 here, and it'll produce 0.8 iron nextlet special alloy per second, and consume 0.8 nextlet plates per second as well. It's seeming like we won't even reach that because the base is kind of grinding to a halt right now. But that is the build we have. We have these 8. It was actually quick and easy again because I reused something. I just had to tweak it around a bunch. But that is the iron nextlet antimony special alloy. Let's go ahead and paste it in the world. Well, that is 2 of the 2 ingredients I need for Intermetallics. Here's the roadmap, because I keep forgetting to flash it up. But yeah, at this point, we just have to figure out how to make the Intermetallics. But also, maybe try to figure out how to get out of this power spiral we're going through. Alright, here goes the final build, Intermetallics. So, Intermetallics is relatively simple to build. It's actually just 1 advanced foundry. You need 1 advanced foundry to make 1 Intermetallics per second. And I spent a lot of time decorating this. And actually, this is what I thought for the majority of the build before I realized I had Factory Planner set to per minute instead of per second. So at some point I realized, whoops, I don't need 1 of these. I actually need 15 of these. I need 15 to produce 1 per second. So I go ahead and kind of just expand this build out to get 3 rows of advanced foundries, 15 advanced foundries in total to make 1 intermetallic per second. And then I spend an extremely long time decorating it because, well, it's intermetallics and I want it to look really good. But with this, we can port the final build of the season into the world. And here we finally are. We can just this in a place before I finally hand the mic to the present, or the vanilla ice cube of the present. Here you go, sir. Thank you. And let's go ahead and plug it in. I haven't done a live recording in a long time, but we have plenty of beet reloi and iron. I still can't pronounce it all this time, but it's the other ore. And we plug it in. We haven't troubleshooted this in the real world yet, so hopefully it works. There we go. Season end. We crafted our first Intermetallics at 345 hours, 44 minutes, and 19 seconds. Quite a slow pace compared to everyone else, as you can see in the map. The last thing I completed Automation Science Pack in 1 hour 20 minutes. I automated it at 30 hours. Pi Science 1 at 184, and nearly double the time later, we are here at Intermetallics finally to close off our season. So, to end the season, one very big last thank you again to my patrons. We have John Boy, Ema, Sterling, Zark, Simple Anglerfish, and Hollow. So thank you guys so much for this wonderful season, and I will see you guys in the next episode and the next season. The next episode's actually going to be the next episode's going to be the season recap. The last season recap was like an hour and 40 minutes long. This time I'm going to try to dull it down to 10 minutes or squeeze into 10 minutes. Anyways, see you guys, and see you guys next season.